Last season, I made a video looking at 7 players who retired during the 2018-19 campaign, featuring such legends as Xavi, Robin van Persie, and Andrea Barzagli. Since this channel is obviously an ever-evolving project, which grows bigger and better in every waking moment, rather than a 7, this season I'm going to be doing an 11. Naturally, in order to make this video, I wrote down all of the players that I know have retired this season, and then picked what I felt was the best 11 among them. If someone misses out, it is possible that either I forgot them because I'm an idiot, or that I just didn't think they were better than whoever I picked in their place in the 11. I can't remember how this video did last year, but I think it's quite a nice annual feature to honour the players hang up their boots at the end of each season, and I'll try to rattle off a few honourable mentions once I'm done with the 11 itself. Without further ado then, here is my best 11 that have retired this season. Goalkeeper Ike Casias. There are a few beloved goalkeepers retiring this season, including Egyptian legend Essam El Hadary. El Hadary is one of the most capped footballers of all time, the 47-year-old, having represented Egypt 159 times. It's just unfortunate for him that one of the 4 goalkeepers to have won more caps than him has also decided to hang up his gloves this season. That man is Ike Cassias, and the way in which Casillas' career has petered out to a certain extent has perhaps led to some forgetting how brilliant he really once was. Casillas is one of the greatest goalkeepers to have ever lived, and one of the 2 greatest goalkeepers of his generation, alongside Gianluigi Buffon, who may make this video in 10 years' time when he finally retires as well. Casillas broke through young at Real Madrid and departed young in many respects, aged only 34. At his best, he was authoritative, acrobatic, and often unbeatable. He also captained Spain to the World Cup and Euros twice, and Real Madrid to both the La Liga title and the Champions League. Casillas retires aged 39, having not made an appearance last season following a heart attack in May of 2019, and we obviously wish him and his wife, who recently recovered from cancer treatment, a long, happy, and healthy retirement. Right back, Paul Verhaeghe. I'll be honest with you, right back was the toughest spot to fill in this 11, but I didn't want to just shoehorn a centre back in there, of which there were many, and we have still ended up with a former full Dutch international. Paul Verhaeghe has been a fine servant at club level, most notably to Vitesse and Augsburg, where he spent 11 of his 17 years in the professional game. A penalty specialist who bagged 29 goals in total from the right-back position, Verhaeghe's international debut didn't arrive until he was almost 30. He may only have won 3 caps for the Netherlands, but he did start for the country when manager Louis van Gaal referred to a back 4 rather than a back 3 for their round of 16 tie against Mexico at the 2014 World Cup. He retires aged 36, having made 7 appearances in his final season in the game with FC Twente. Centre-back Vincent Kompany. I would suggest that Ike Casias is the biggest legend of the game in this 11, but Vincent Kompany gives him some welcome competition. A Manchester City hero who will soon have a statue alongside David Silva's outside of the Etihad, Kompany spent 11 years with the Citizens as the only man to stay with the club from before the Emirati takeover right through to the Pep Guardiola revolution. A vocal leader and an excellent centre-back, Kompany's problem throughout his career has been constant recurring injuries, which have plagued him for roughly the last 8 years. He returned to Anderlecht as player manager in 2019, but by August he'd stepped down as first team manager, and injuries restricted him to just 18 appearances and also ruled him out of his own Man City testimonial. The 34-year-old decided to hang up his boots to concentrate on coaching at the end of the season, returning to the helm at Anderlecht and signing a 4-year deal as the club's first team boss. Centre-back Benedict Herpenez. It's a curious fact of Benedict Herpenez's career that despite being primarily a centre-back, he played as a left-back in the most important games he ever played in. That was of course where Joachim Löw played Herpenez as his first choice at the 2014 World Cup, and I always found it strange that Alejandro Sabella didn't push Lionel Messi a little further out onto the right to run at Herpenez in the World Cup final. In fairness, Herpenez was always a very versatile defender who could cover at either fullback positions throughout his career, and the only thing that really held him back was a series of injury problems. Herpenez spent the bulk of his playing days with Schalke, an hour and a half from where he was born, before signing for Lokomotiv Moscow in 2018. Following 2 years in Russia, Herpenez mutually terminated his contract and returned to Germany, retiring from football as a World Cup winner at the age of only 32. Left back Layton Baines. A brilliant left-back and a bona fide Everton legend, Layton Baines retired this season following 13 years at Goodison Park, where he played 420 games and scored 39 goals. For most players in similar circumstances, there would be an ostentatious farewell, a sizable testimonial, and perhaps even talk of some kind of monument. That's never really been Layton Baines' style though, and the famously stylish mod-influenced fullback has just quietly departed despite being one of the outstanding left-backs of the Premier League era. Baines was unfortunate to play for England at the same time as Ashley Cole, limiting him to just 30 caps. But everyone who watched the Premier League between 2005 and 2018 knew Baines was a rock-solid fullback with a wand of a left foot. Defensive midfield. Bruno Soriano. You may think I'd struggle to find a bigger club legend to follow Layton Baines, but in holding midfield, I give you Bruno Soriano. He may have had all the pace of a dump truck with square wheels and the handbrake turned on during his later years, but Bruno Soriano was still a key man for Villarreal. A one-club man who was born no more than 20 minutes away from Villarreal's home ground, Soriano was a little unfortunate in his timing, breaking into the first team just as the likes of Diego Forlan and Juan Roman Riquelme departed. He spent 14 years in Villarreal's first team in total, becoming the club's all-time record appearance holder with 424 appearances in addition to winning 10 caps for Spain. A brilliant reader of the game who was tireless, technical and had a superb range of passing, Soriano will be sorely missed even at the age of 36. Defensive midfield. Gareth Barry. No one has made more top-flight appearances in English football during the Premier League era than Gareth Barry. Although I will forever hate him for putting in a nasty challenge on Sonny Aluko, just when the Nigerian international was banging form for Hull City in the Premier League, even I must admit, that Barry was a terrific footballer. In his early years with Aston Villa, Barry was an all-action midfield dynamo who would get you maybe 8 or 9 goals a season. At Manchester City, Barry found a much deeper role, breaking up play and recycling possession, and if anything, he dropped even deeper at Everton and West Bromwich Albion. Barry wasn't always the easiest footballer on the eye, particularly during his later years, and opposition fans sometimes questioned what he brought to a team. If he played for your club though, you knew exactly what Gareth Barry brought. Supreme game management, experience, and understanding of the game. He rarely put a foot wrong, and Everton, for example, were a far better team with than without him. Barry retires having made a remarkable 832 appearances at club level, he won 53 caps for England, and he won a Premier League title. He still isn't forgiven for that tackle on Aluko though. Central midfield. Emre Belözoğlu. He might be a massive racist, but I'm picking this 11 on talent, and unfortunately, that means I think Emre Belözoğlu deserves a place in midfield. Remarkably, Belözoğlu's career actually began all the way back in the 1996-97 campaign, almost a quarter of a century ago. He began his playing days with Galatasaray before moves to Inter Milan and Newcastle United. A star of the Turkish side that reached the semi-finals of the 2002 World Cup, Belözoğlu won over 100 caps for Turkey, but he would go on to become best associated with Fenerbahce and controversial outfit Istanbul Başakşehir. Well, that and dishing out racial abuse, of course. Belözoğlu retired this summer at the age of 39, following his third and final stint with Fenerbahce, with his exceptional longevity having been facilitated by his vision, reading of the game, and fine technique. Right wing. Marcelino Paraíba. Maybe the most extraordinary retirement in this entire 11, many younger European football fans won't even have heard of Marcelino Paraíba, since it has been 12 years since he last played in Europe and a whopping 19 years since he won his last cap for Brazil. Strangely enough, Marcelino's real name is Marcelo dos Santos, but he was nicknamed Marcelino in Brazil, which later became Marcelino Paraíba, with Paraíba being the Brazilian state in which he was born, added to his name to distinguish him due to the large number of Marcelinos in football at the time. A real live wire with bags of flair, he made his first team debut in 1991, some 29 years ago. Primarily a number 10, but also able to play on either flank, Marcelino famously starred for both Hertha Berlin and Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga, twice making the Bundesliga team of the season. Marcelino won his 5 caps for Brazil alongside the likes of Cafu, Roberto Carlos and Ronaldinho in 2001, but he went on to outlast the lot of them. He finally hung up his boots in 2020, aged 45, and he's more than worthy of a place in my 11. Left wing. Andre Schurrle. A pretty sad retirement in many respects, Andre Schurrle was only born 1 year before Marcelino Paraíba made his first team debut, and he was just 11 years old when Marcelino became a full Brazilian international, and yet here they are, retiring in the same season. Schurrle was an often underappreciated talent, capable of playing anywhere across the forward line, and capable of popping up with a goal or an assist. His finest form came in his final seasons with Mainz, Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg, which all prompted moves, and he won 57 caps for the German national team. Schurrle played a key role for Germany as they won the 2014 World Cup, scoring twice in Germany's 7-1 win against Brazil in the semi-finals, as well as assisting Mario Götze for the only goal of the World Cup final against Argentina. Schurrle spent his last 2 seasons contracted to Borussia Dortmund, out on loan with Fulham and Spartak Moscow, but he retired in July 2020, shortly after terminating his contract with Dortmund, stating that he no longer wanted to face the loneliness and constant competition inherent to top-flight football. Centre forward, Mario Gomez. Making it a trio of former German internationals in this 11, whilst Benedict Herpenez and Andre Schurrle both played important roles in Germany's 2014 World Cup win, and despite the fact he won more caps than both of them, Mario Gomez may not be able to reflect upon his memories of international football quite so fondly. Gomez was vilified by the German press for missing an open goal against Austria at Euro 2008, when he was still only 23, and was occasionally booed by the German fans as a result. Nonetheless, he still scored 31 goals from 78 caps, and although he missed out in 2014, he can still look back on a superb career. Gomez's career was a tale of inconsistencies, but at his best, he was absolutely lethal. He scored over 300 career goals, and it's telling that the former Bayern Munich marksman thrice made the Bundesliga team of the season. He retires at the age of 35, off the back of a season in which he scored 7 goals to help his boyhood club Stuttgart back into the Bundesliga. So that's it for my retiree best 11, but some of the players who missed out include the likes of Mile Jedinak, Milan Baros, Claudio Pizarro, Gelson Fernandez, Essam El Hadari, St Etienne legend Loic Perrin, Bilbao's brilliant late bloomer Aritz Aduriz, and former French international Jeremy Mathieu. Let me know any players you think I might have missed, it's certainly possible, I'm by no means infallible. Thank you all for watching as always, make sure to check out some of the other videos that should be on your screen now, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for the ever superb HITC Sevens. You can also catch me on Twitter or Instagram, where the username is simply @HITC Sevens on both platforms.